I would ask for help when I get to that point where I've tried 1 or 2 or 3 things and they haven't worked. What's up, fam? We are back. Hale Fitness Podcast. I'm Coach Jay. This is
Coach Katie.
And
Coach Wendy.
And
Coach Rebecca.
all right, the whole gang is back. It's been a little while since
We don't
we've
even
all
have to
been
put
here.
Rebecca's picture right here.
Yeah.
Oh, was I in the podcast?
Yeah.
Well, for
You had
a
the-
moment, and then you fell.
You had the
Oh, that one. Oh,
that
good.
one, yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, we held a vigil for you.
Oh, nice.
So, we are coaches here, and as coaches, we're solving lots of problems for people. But as coaches, we face tons of problems, and we were talking about this beforehand. When do you focus on doing things yourself, and when do you ask for help? And I thought we'd kind of go around, talk a little bit about sort of our situations and how we'd approach that kind of thing. And I wanted to start with you, Rebecca, because I think for a lot of people, when they walk in the door, they are used to just figuring everything out on their own, right? There's so much information on the internet. It's like, hey, how do I, what's the best workout program? What's the best nutrition? What is the best thing to help my knee pain or whatever? And you're just overwhelmed with information, right? But you don't really do it that way. It sounds like whenever you have a problem, you have kind of a rule. Tell us what is your rule
Oh, I don't
when you
know
have
if
a
it's
problem.
well, I made it up right before this.
Oh, okay.
It's not really a rule I live by. But as I was thinking about it, I'm pretty good at understanding and recognizing where people's strengths are at in their life. There's just using my husband as an example. He's really good at music. It's like building a trivia team, right? You got to know what each person understands. And my husband's really good at just music trivia because he's a DJ. And I know that if trees might come up on trivia, so I'm gonna have Katie on my team. But so that's just if we're a trivia team. But just in the scope of the gym, I know Wendy, Katie, gymnastics, Jay, eating liver. So if that question comes up from a client or from anybody, I could say, oh yeah, let me do some research, or I could just say, yeah, let me go tap Katie on the shoulder because she's right here and ask her a quick question.
Yeah.
Because one, it does the client a disservice if I, just quickly Google something when I have someone who has years of knowledge right there. Two, it's an extra 5 minutes for me to Google something that I could be, I don't know, drinking some pho broth. But anyway, so yeah.
So your rule is you don't spend more than 1 minute trying to solve a problem yourself.
Yeah. If I don't know, I go directly to who do I know in my immediate vicinity that can handle this problem better than me.
Yeah. Yeah. So when do you have the opposite rule, right? It's 10 years and then you ask, is that about how it goes?
Yep.
I will figure it all out myself no matter what.
And then she figures it out, and then she says a thing that you told her 5 minutes ago, or at this point 5 years ago. Cool.
What's really great? Liver. That's really great.
I ate all this liver, and I just realized, you know what, guys, liver's great.
So yeah, Wendy, you tend to figure things out on your own, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. So we were kind of talking beforehand, how do you decide when to ask for help? I mean, it's obviously more than 1 minute. How do you decide? I mean, you don't figure everything out on your own.
No.
At a certain point, you do ask for help. What prompts you to do that? How do you make that decision?
When I no longer have ways to, I can research, right? Or there's no other resources that I can use. That's it. I have nowhere to go now.
Yeah.
Other than ask a person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where I look for help.
How bad does a problem have to be for you to admit you're not going to be able to figure it out on your own?
Maybe getting pregnant without me.
So life-changing.
Yeah, life-changing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Life or death.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's how big it's supposed to be for me to realize,
Got it.
okay,
Okay.
I'm like on the edge of a cliff,
Yeah.
grabbing with my fingers. I'm gonna be like, "Hey, let me think about this for a minute. How could I solve this?"
It's just like a whole bunch of like big, strong people
Yeah.
with like super strong grips, and you're just like, I got it.
I got this.
Yeah, Katie, what is your kind of philosophy around asking for help?
I used to hate it. Like I used to get a ton of anxiety around asking for help. And in fact, I remember being in high school and like raising my hand as like tears are like falling down my face because I was so like, I was always the person who like knew the thing. And so like for me, like raising my hand to ask for help was like an admission that I don't know the thing. And it was super hard. But thankfully I've been in enough positions where it was like, there's no way that I'm going to like figure this out on my own. And like the only way I'm going to figure it out is to ask somebody. Manual labor does that. So like working in like outdoor work, it's like, there's just so many things that like you wish, especially as like a relatively petite female, like I wish I could do that all on my own, but like there's no way I'm going to be able to do it. So I'm going to have to ask for help. So in that way, I've like gotten over it. But I would definitely still that like if I were to err more toward the Wendy or Rebecca side, I probably err more toward the Wendy side of like I'll puzzle things over in my head for a while before. Not that I'm like not thinking. I'm just not thinking about asking somebody for help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm like considering both options and I choose to figure it out myself. It's like sometimes I'll just go deep down a rabbit hole and I'll forget that like, oh, there's people around me who have done this before.
Yeah. What I find for a lot of people that I've worked with in the past, it's like when they encounter a problem that they don't have an answer for, it's not that they don't ask for help, it's that they just decide that that problem can wait, or like it's just not as important, or you know, whatever. Like I'll figure it out later.
That's right.
And so then they're just stuck with that problem, and it just keeps coming up over and over and over and over again, right?
Yeah. What about you?
That's never happened to you, Wendy?
Sure. But what about you?
So for me, I tend to look at problems as like an opportunity to like learn something, right? It's just like, okay, what can I learn from this? And so I would say that I try to figure out like what I know about the thing. And then once I kind of figure out what I know, then I'll talk it through with somebody. And usually that gives me a different perspective, right? So there's kind of a process that I go through though, because I think part of this is you don't know if you need to figure it out yourself or ask for help until you actually define what the problem is, right? And so right before this, you started talking. I said, what's your biggest problem right now? And what'd you say?
Time management.
Time management. Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of dig into this a little bit. And I know we put you on the spot last week, but we're going to do it again. Because I think this will be really useful, right? So it could be time management, or it could be like, I don't know, what's a problem that a client might have?
Traveling
that's
a
good.
lot.
Yeah,
for
that's a good
work.
one.
Right. How to manage,
Right.
you know, to stay, you know, on your
On
plan
track
while you're traveling.
with travel,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, cool. So time management. So tell me what is the problem? What kind of problem are you having with time management?
Yeah. So, new mom, right? So now I'm trying to figure out a balance between being a mom and also being a coach to my clients. And now with a new thing in my life with a partner involved, that's more of me that I have to split. And there's some weeks where I do more work and less of mom and less of a partner. And there's some weeks I do more partner, less work. That just means I'm behind work the next following week, or, you know, less mom time with my son, and so on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what's happening right now.
Okay. So what do you want more of?
As in now, if you were to ask me now, more mom,
Okay.
spending time with my son a
Okay.
lot more.
Okay. So you want to spend more time with your son.
Yeah.
So how much time are you currently spending with your son?
I mean, I feel bad even saying it right now. Probably like a day, because I'm still working sometimes on the weekends,
Yep.
and I like hate myself for that. But like a full day, we'll say.
Okay.
I would say.
So you only see him one day a week?
No. I mean, I still see him, but even when I see him, I leave, like, let's say, usually I'm here around 9, sometimes earlier, like Wednesday through Friday, I'm here earlier, like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
So I don't see him in the morning.
Yeah.
And then traffic, because I have to commute to Sassoon City. So I get home around 7:30, close to 8 sometimes.
Yeah.
And then like within 30 minutes, he has to go down.
Okay, so you're seeing him like a half hour Monday through Friday night, or is that every day? Or
Not
is
every day.
Okay.
It just depends, right? Some days are shorter, some days are longer. So,
Okay, cool. So like Monday, you're seeing him a half hour.
yeah, say
Tuesday,
half
half hour.
hour. Like an hour, I would
Okay,
say.
so we got 90 minutes. What's Wednesday?
Wednesday, about an hour too.
Okay, so that's 2.5 hours. What's Thursday?
Lately has been 30 minutes because I've been staying.
Okay, so we
work a
got
little
so
bit
that's
more.
3 hours. So
Yeah.
what about Friday?
Friday, I see him more. So Friday, I get home around 2 p.m. So
Okay.
I'm there a little bit earlier.
So how long?
So I get there and he's napping.
Yeah,
So I don't see him, and then he wakes up like around 5, sometimes 6,
and then he goes to bed at what time?
like 8:39.
Okay, so like 5 to 9, let's say. So you get another, let's call it 3 hours, right? So you got 3 hours plus 3 hours, that's 6. And then how much time do you see him on the weekends?
Let's see. Saturday, I'm home all day, but then
So just uninterrupted time, you're not working, dedicated time you want to spend with him.
5 hours.
So 5 hours total on the weekend. Okay, so we got 6 hours during the week and 5 hours on the weekend. Okay, so 11 total hours a week.
Well, Sunday I don't work. Like I
Okay.
make it a thing. I don't work on Sundays.
So you spend all day with
The-
him.
yeah, the
And
whole
how many
day.
hours is that?
I mean, he wakes up sometimes at 6 and
Okay.
then goes down.
6 to 9.
Yeah, something like that.
Take out nap times. So give me some math.
Let's see.
That's 15. That's like 14 hours.
14 hours. Okay,
On
and so
long he naps. So 13 to 14 hours.
all right, so we got 13 hours plus 11 hours during the week. So you're spending 24 hours with him in a given week.
Yeah.
Yeah? So that's what you're currently doing.
Yeah.
So how many hours do you want to spend with him?
I mean, I'm terrible at math, but like I want to say like at least like 3 full days uninterrupted.
So 72 hours,
So you want to go from what did we say?
What did we say? Yeah.
24 hours.
24 hours to 72 hours?
I mean,
We were saying
Keep
a full
in
day is
mind he,
13.
like, sleep-
we were
so-
saying a full day is 13, right? So 39 hours.
So are we saying a full day? So not counting sleep time.
Okay. So let's use 3 full days. That's 39 hours. Yeah? Yeah? So you're doing 20, what did we say, 24?
Yeah.
So it's
Okay.
15 extra hours.
Yeah, so you
I'm
want
so confused right now.
15 extra hours. Okay, so this is the thing. I know this is like really pedantic. I actually
Yeah.
did this exercise with a client earlier today because most people, they say they want more of something, but they won't actually define what they have now and what they want. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And this is something we talk about all the time. It's like, I want to get in better shape. Okay. What does that actually mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, do you want to do more push-ups? Do you want to get stronger? Like, do you want to be able to lift more? Do you want to be able to run faster? Do you want to lose some weight? How many pounds do you want to lose? Et cetera, right? So you're spending, so first of all, did you think you were spending 24 hours a week with him?
I try not to because then I beat myself up.
No. Did you think you were spending that much time with him? We added it all up and it was 24 hours that you were spending
Yes,
with
I
him.
counted it before.
Okay.
I try not to because then I feel bad and feel guilty about myself.
Okay, so what is the minimum number of hours you'd need to spend with him to not feel guilty?
I don't want to define like
Why not?
because I mean my son deserves all the time for me. So I don't really like to put a number to that.
Okay, so you just want to feel guilty.
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I'm not saying that. So like if you ask me what would I like now
Yeah.
is okay, so if I were to tell you what I would like now is not work. So let's say Friday I'm done working or I get home around 2:30, 3 p.m. From 3 p.m. up until Monday is where I would want to spend full on time with my son.
Okay.
Not work, not be in front of emails, none of that stuff.
Okay,
So
cool.
that's what I want.
Okay, cool. So what you're actually hoping for is the work that you're doing on Saturday. So is it just work you're doing on Saturday, or is there other things that you want to not do on Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not be in front of the laptop while my son is
Great.
at
So
home.
basically, so we added this all up. It's not actually 39 hours. It's like you're spending 5 hours or something. Did you say 6 hours with him on Saturday?
5 hours. We said
Yeah.
5.
So you want to take that from 5 to 13. So actually, you just want 8 more hours with him each week. Okay, cool. So that's the problem that you're trying to solve.
Yeah.
So the amount of the
I
stuff.
still don't like the hours. Like I just, I don't, I'm cringing right now when you're saying those things.
So this is the thing. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. But if you don't define what success looks like, then you're always going to feel guilty.
Well, I just said it.
Yeah, but I'm saying like you're always going to feel guilty if you don't actually define it.
Well, I just defined it. Not in hours, but I just told you what I want. I want from Friday 3 p.m. all the way up to Sunday.
Okay,
Monday
perfect,
is what I want.
Perfect. Yeah. But I guess the point is like what I'm just saying is you have this many hours, you want this many hours.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe here's the thing. You just said, I actually don't care about the hours. So maybe you should just work longer during the rest of the days so that you can get those hours back on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then if you did that, then you'd feel better.
Right.
Right? So maybe it's just what it is you're going to get the same amount of hours with him. And you now need to find 8 extra hours during the week where you can work.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And maybe that means that you're going to get home after he's asleep, like 3 days a week.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And like that would be the trade-off. And then you have to decide whether you're going to make that trade-off.
Yes. And that's where I'm battling right now.
Yeah. But so what you have is not like necessarily like what you said was a time management issue, right? What you have is just like, actually, I want this.
Yeah.
And we've defined what this is.
Right.
Now you have to decide, do I want to give the other stuff up? What do I want to give up in order to get that thing?
Yeah. Because I do love, doing bedtime with him before he goes down. Because at least he sees my face before he goes down, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes he doesn't see my face when he wakes up.
Yeah.
So at least he can see it before he goes.
Yeah.
So I like that. But like you said, right, in order for me to do all my work and not work, Friday from 3 p.m. all the way to Monday or whatever, then I do need to do that.
Yeah. Or you get more efficient with the time that you're spending.
Yeah.
Right. And that's not really time management. It's just like, okay, let's look at like all the tasks that you're doing. And they're taking me, we just did this time audit of the time you're spending with him.
Yeah.
Right. You do a time audit of the time that you're spending working. And what are you actually doing during that time?
Right.
What things absolutely need to be done, what things don't need to be done.
Yes.
And then, just kind of work through that.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So the point is this, right? We just talked through this, just like we talked through this problem.
Oh, I think we also missed the fact that I have a partner now. And he needs time too.
Oh, yeah.
So that's there too.
Yeah.
Totally forgot. Hopefully he doesn't see this podcast, but I might be single.
Have you ever done a time audit
No.
where you basically like for a whole week, you just write down like you can either set an alarm or you can just go, hour by hour, just write down what you were doing in a given 15-minute block for an entire week.
Oh, okay. No, I've never done that.
Yeah. So just put it in a spreadsheet, whatever, what you're doing for every 15-minute block, right?
Okay.
Just so you can see where you're spending the time.
Yeah, have a visual.
Yeah. Because that awareness is you're going to say, oh, well, I know I have to give something up. What's it going to be?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's this really good analogy I remember hearing years ago. You guys probably know it and can think of it better, but it's like of the stove where you have like the 2 burners in the back and the 2 burners in the front, and you have 4 things cooking, and you can never have more than 4 things cooking. So if you think about it as like your kids, your partner, work, friends or something. I mean, whatever 4 things are important. The 2 in the front, you're constantly like adding the seasoning, it's on boil, you're stirring. The 2 in the back are on simmer. So you can take your time, periodically check on it, but you're not investing as much time. And at any point in our life, we have to decide what is going to be on simmer and what is going to be the thing that we're like putting all of our effort in. And it's hard to do all 4 or something's going to burn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
That's good. I like that.
That's good. What are you cooking?
I mean, I just made that up by myself. That was totally me. Did not outsource that.
Original idea. Patent.
If that was yours.
Yeah. So here's a funny thing about what you just brought up. Like you didn't ask for help for this. You just brought up your problems and we were talking through it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not you don't necessarily always have to ask for help. Right? You can just say, well, I'm struggling with this.
Yeah.
And one of the process that I go through the first step that I do is I work to define what the actual problem is. And the only way you can do that is if you bring awareness to what's happening now. Does that make sense? So like a time audit is going to bring awareness. Now, we went down this whole road of like figuring out how much time you want to spend with your son, because my assumption was that, well, there is a number where you're going to feel great about the amount of time you're spending, right? But actually, let's figure out like what is the actual problem. Maybe there's too much priority on something that's not as important to you.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe there's no choice. Like you have to do all of these different things and you just have to get better at it. Maybe you have to get up earlier. Maybe you just have to say no more often.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Right.
But if you have that awareness, then you can define what the problem is.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Once you define what the problem is, then you have to decide where you want this to go. Right? Because not every problem is worth solving.
Yeah.
Like you might go, this is just how it is. Right? But if you decide that, then all the guilt goes away. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Once you decide, like, I don't care about this problem anymore, then you feel great.
Yeah.
And that's what most people won't do, is just like they have this nagging thing. Like, I feel guilty about this. I feel, I need to do something about my health. I need to figure out how to, like I need to do better when I'm on vacation. Right?
Right.
And it's just like, you could just decide, you know what, I'm taking vacations off.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you don't feel any kind of way about
Yeah.
it. Right?
Yeah.
And so once you define the problem and then you define what you want to do about it, then it's just a matter of like, okay, what does success look like? And that's just going through that process of like, what is the wish? What is the outcome? What's the biggest obstacle? And then how I'm going to deal with it. Right? So that's how I approach it. And usually what happens, I identify a problem when it comes up more than 3 times. So like if time management has been an issue for you for 6 months, has there been like, is it every week you're just like, oh God, I need to manage my time better?
Well, no. When I start my work early in the week, I remember me and Katie were like, we were celebrating one of these weeks because we were like, oh my God, we're done with all of our admin stuff before Friday.
Yeah.
We're like, we're going to have the weekend off, right?
Yeah.
So it's very possible.
Yeah.
But just, with our job, it's not always like that, right? There's just things change all the time.
Yeah, things pop up.
So then so but yeah, there's been some weeks where I don't work on the weekends.
Yeah.
And it's very possible.
Right. But how many times has it come up for you over the last 6 months?
That I haven't worked on the
No,
weekend?
that you've been like, oh, I need to manage my time better.
I don't know.
Is it more than 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't give you a number because I don't keep track of that stuff. I don't.
But okay, so this is the thing. Like if something bothers me more than 3 times, then I'll go through this process.
Oh, I see what you're talking about.
What is the actual problem?
Yeah, it's been more than 3
right?
times.
And then, what do I want to do about it? Do I want to do something? Yes, no, go do, then if the answer is no, forget about it.
Yeah.
If the answer is yes, great. What outcome do I want? Define the outcome and then take whatever action I need to take. And it may not work. And it may take you months and months to get to the point where you figure out exactly what you're going to do.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, if you're doing some sort of action each week to solve the problem, and even if it doesn't work, you are going to feel better about it.
Right.
Because you'll feel like there's progress being made.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes, I'm just thinking about it when I feel like I'm making progress.
So
It's this week.
So here's the thing. This podcast is about when to ask for help.
Yeah.
I would ask for help when I get to that point where I've tried 1 or 2 or 3 things and they haven't worked. And I still have the problem. I tried this thing, it didn't work. I tried this thing, it didn't work. I tried everything I could think of, right?
Yeah.
And I would talk to you about the problem. I would raise it on the podcast. I would talk to my mom about it. And then I would go hire somebody whose job it is to solve that problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If it kept coming up, because now it's like a year later and I'm like, I haven't solved this problem.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. I've had problems solved before sometimes because I've done the exact thing where I stop thinking about it. It's just like, one of those things that I'll get to. But then I hear a solution. I'm listening to a podcast or I'm reading a book and I'm like, oh, there's the solution to this problem I had that I had totally forgot about. So sometimes auditing too, like what you're reading and what you're listening to can actually help.
Yeah. That's actually a big one. One of the other things that I make sure I do every day is like some sort of reading or some sort of like taking in some sort of useful information that might help my life. Because like you said, it's sometimes serendipitous, or you just like, oh yeah, I'm really struggling with this or whatever. And somebody recommends a book that actually solves the problem for you. Yeah. So I guess there's like silence over here and just like awkward smiles. Did I say something wrong?
No, I'm listening.
Oh, there's apartments for rent around here. So you said it's 30 minutes.
Yeah, that is a way to cut down
There's
5 hours a week.
It's true.
So, okay. Actually, this is great. This is exactly it. So when you get to the part where you're trying to figure out what the biggest obstacle is, right? So you decided, I want to fix my time management. What's the outcome? I want to be able to take Saturdays off, right? Then you go and make a list of what are all the obstacles. What are all of the things that would make you not be able to take Saturdays off? And it's like, well, one of them is the 30-minute commute or whatever, 45 minutes if there's traffic, right? Another one is that pesky boyfriend, right?
Pesky boyfriend.
Right? You know, like there's all kinds of things.
I
Like,
really hope he doesn't listen to this podcast.
I'll send it to him.
I'm going to blame you if I get dumped tonight.
It doesn't come out that fast. But I'll send him the raw recording for you.
If this is going to be long term, Wendy, he's got to be ready for a lot more.
Yeah. He's got to know that he's always on the chopping block. But okay, so you list like all the problems. And like, don't just like slapdash solutions. List all of the things that would stop you.
Yeah.
And then you make 10, 15 things on the list, like circle the top 2 or 3, and then just pick the one that would make the biggest difference.
Yeah.
And then your plan is just like work like a dog until you can solve that one.
Yeah, you know what people do all the time is they never take 5 minutes to make that list. Because it's like 5 minutes they could be doing the work to get close. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Do you know what a goal that's not written down is? It's a dream.
A wish.
So, do you have this goal written down, Wendy?
Is that an aphorism? Is that what that's called? What is that?
an adage?
An adage? What's an aphorism?
I don't know.
All right, I'm going to look that one up. We've got a bunch
Problems.
of teachers out there. That
Yeah, let's ask one of them. Come on in. Answer this question.
Yeah, so I guess that's really it. Is just like at that point you just identify those obstacles. You're working like crazy to try to solve them. One of the things you would do is say like, okay, I have this obstacle. Like I have, let's say you decide, actually I live too far away, right? And the rent here is like too expensive, right? And you start just asking around like, hey, like I'm looking for this kind of room and this kind of thing. Do you know anybody who can solve this problem for me? Right? And that's kind of effectively you asking for help. But you don't get there until you've defined really clearly what you want and then the biggest obstacle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the solution to your problem might be going out and asking Kate if you can move into her new, ADU that she's building. Right? It might not be time management at all. Right? Once you define all that stuff, though, you can ask.
Right.
It's true. It's good.
Yeah.
So what's the solution to the traveling thing? If you decide like, you want to travel and you're traveling a lot, like once a month, and you fall off your plan once a month, you're probably not going to get to your goals.
Yeah.
Right? So
You're always going to be stuck where you're at.
Yeah. So at what point, like, how would you define that problem?
Well, I mean, now that, you did this whole talk about writing it down, I would actually maybe look that month of what that traveling is going to look like to start with.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And to start there.
Yeah.
And then from there, make a plan according to those days.
It'd be good to know exactly how many days of the month you're traveling.
Yeah.
Because it might seem like you're traveling
all the
like,
time.
Yeah.
all the time, but maybe
Yeah.
it's only like 3 days a month.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
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 If it's only 3 days a month, then
Yeah.
like, I mean, you could probably cut down on like the damage on those 3 days by just planning the meals the day that you travel. And now it's only 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And,
Yeah.
then maybe it's like the day you get back, make sure that there's meals ready for you to go,
Right.
so you don't go out to eat because you don't have any meals.
Right.
So now you cut it down to one day.
Or have your training session scheduled, ready to go, so you don't have to worry about that when you land, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or look into places near where you're staying that might fit what it is that you're eating.
Yeah.
Or pack ahead too, if it's
Yeah.
just for a day or two.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you define like, okay, here's what it actually is. The wish is that, I actually am making progress even though I'm traveling. And the outcome is, at the end of this month, my scan looks like X or whatever. And then the biggest obstacle is, looking at your calendar. I mean, I know for me, it's not just traveling. It's like 1 or 2 days before and then like 3 or 4 days after.
Yeah.
So your like 3-day trip turns into like
That's
a
right.
week and a half of you off of your thing.
Yeah.
Because for no good reason other than you didn't have a plan for what you're doing when you get back.
Yeah.
Right. And it's hard to like readjust, especially if you're doing different time zones. Yeah. So it's actually like, this has been a problem for me in the past. And what I realized is that if it's like this rule that I have when I travel somewhere, before I even like sit down on the bed or unpack, I'll go do a workout. And so it's like I'm establishing a new habit in a new location. Yes, my fitness comes with me. And so then I go do the workout, and that means I'm probably going to eat a little bit better that day. And I usually go to the grocery store and that kind of thing. And I have a bunch of stuff, and half the stuff I don't even eat. I throw it out. But if I have it, then I have an option for things to eat. Yeah.
That's good.
So, all right. Okay. Well, anyways, anything to add on this one?
No, it's great.
Yeah. It's so useful.
All right. Well, if there is a thing that I could recommend with this one is like, first take a little bit of time to define what you're
Yeah.
actually trying to deal with.
Yeah.
Because if you just ask me for help on what to do when I'm traveling, then you're going to be like, oh, well, try this and try that. Versus like, let's actually dig into what the issue is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, or, time management. Hey, what should I do for time management? Get a journal. And that's not really going to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cool. All right. Well, that's all we have for today.
Yeah.
I'm going to get some feedback after this one. All right. Appreciate you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, we've got plenty of others. Go check out this one over here.